Frimpong for me seems to be the ultimate extreme attribute player. The flaws are going to be obvious. He's a tiddler who maybe can't defend like normal defenders can, but his extreme superpowers are he's absolutely rapid, probably faster than anything we've got in the squad. And although he scored less this season, he's had a career with goals in him. And that to me means that's a very exciting player.
Yeah, it's the pace that I think excites me the most, really. Like, there's been a couple of times this season, and, you know, that's still saying it's been a brilliant season, obviously. But I think back to, like, Fulham away is a good example of where Liverpool needed to be urgent in their play and just weren't quite able to be because they almost didn't have enough like thrust. There weren't enough lads who could just get you 30 yards up the pitch by beating the first line of a press. Liverpool have got loads of lads who are really good on the ball, loads of lads who've almost got that sort of first yards in your mind kind of thing. But really, besides Mo Salah, I don't think anyone boasts sort of extreme pace to the degree of what we're talking about with Frimpong here. So that's the thing that definitely excites me. I think I can also imagine a world where he's better in the interchanges than Trent Alexander-Arnold is, and that's where I think he will probably appeal to Arne Slot a little bit more than Trent Alexander-Arnold has. I think you've probably seen over the course of this season that, you know, Trent is obviously an unbelievable talent. He's the sort of footballer who, you know, you just put him in your team and you find a way to make him work. You know, Liverpool tried to build a side around Trent just 2 seasons ago, and while it didn't quite work, there wasn't any of us going, well, they shouldn't have been doing that at the time. He was that level of footballer that, you know, you should have been trying to find a way to negate for his weaknesses and boost his strengths. But I think in terms of what Arne Slot is looking for, Trent is sort of relatively, maybe not one-dimensional, but his strengths his weaknesses are emphasised in an Arne Slot system where it is a little bit more about interchange and it's about having a low centre of gravity. I think that's why Andy Robertson has been able to excel at times. Obviously, there's still times where Andy Robertson's sort of legs and I guess sort of mental fatigue in general due to his sort of, you know, ascending years have sort of marked him down in games a little bit. But where I think he has been good is that he's got that low centre of gravity. He's able to do the interchange with the other players. I think, you know, not to get all sort of Ferguson about Jordan Henderson's gait, but Trent's sort of bow-leggedness stops him having that sort of same low centre of gravity. It means that in an interchange, he's a little bit more sort of kick it into Mo Salah and rush past the man and get onto it, whereas I think Frimpong can offer you a bit more variety in that sense. And then, you know, the bidding war thing and the release clause thing, it just seems to be Liverpool's game. Like the bidding wars that Liverpool have been dragged into, they've pretty much lost. You think about Moises Caicedo and other players like that. Liverpool have generally been a bit more, you know, we're going to try and get this done early. We're going to try and make sure that we're in the players' ear, whether you want to class that sort of tapping up. And I know they've been stung by that around the Virgil van Dijk thing, but still managed to get it done eventually. But you look at, you know, the likes of McAllister and players like that who they've got in early to avoid the bidding war if there's not been a release clause. But then I think Soboslai was a release clause, wasn't he? There's been been a couple of others down the years where Liverpool have just gone for the avoidance of any doubt here and to, you know, to almost stop anybody coming into gazump us. We're just going to pay the release clause and get this done. So I'm properly excited about this. Like I could genuinely see a world in which, and I understand people having reservations, but I could see a world in which this ends up being my personal most exciting signing of the summer, just because the thing I think Liverpool have been crying out for to lift that ceiling of this team is that additional bit of pace. And while you're about to lose such unorthodox creativity, to have an area of the pitch to sort of replace that in an area of the pitch where you just plug extreme pace into instead, I think is so exciting for the Reds.
I think it's an interesting, well, Mark, we're talking internally, the discussions I think as fans we're having about Frimpong, we're seeing him, if we're honest about this, as something of an elite utility option, because we're saying we all love Conor Bradley. If we can get Conor Bradley on the pitch, I think most of us will say, well, I don't care who you can find in world football, he's as good as we've seen in a young right-back out there who isn't called Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I agree, yeah.
So in some senses, he's the man in possession of the shirt. The other position that Jeremy Frimpong can play is Mo Salah's position. He's very much in possession of the shirt. So from an LFC supporter point of view, we're sort of looking at him being as a win-win. He can cover being a key word, cover both positions. But the player himself, in discussions with the club, and assuming all this is true, and I think it is, what do you think they've told him his role is? Because I don't think a player with his profile, who's been tearing up in the Bundesliga for the last few years, key player for a team that won the league over there, is coming in thinking, yeah, I'm the utility guy. What do you think he's been told or is telling himself?
I think they'll tell him, back yourself, get in the team over Conor Bradley, because
while we all like Conor Bradley, we've seen him come through. We're excited by him. He's not perhaps of the profile of a level of player around the world that anyone's going to say, "Oh my God, I've got to go against Conor Bradley." You know, I don't think he's going to be scared of that.
Fair.
I think it's just everything, just from the conversation as well. It just more and more boxes get ticked, don't they? Because I think from the club side, you can say that to him. You can say, "Well, you've got to get past Conor Bradley to get a game." I think from the players' side, it's a signing that I don't think will put noses out of joint. I think we know the Chiesa situation hasn't worked, but so if you were to sign a forward to play on the right-hand side, that might upset Mo Salah. But if you sign this lad and you say, well, he's going to come on for you for 10, 15 minutes at the end of games, or he's going to push up there and Bradley will come on, I think Mo Salah is delighted by that. You've also got the Dutch element in the squad with 3 players who will know him and play with him. So I think it's just more and more boxes get ticked. And going back on your original question, I think all young players, when they move into any club, I think they have to believe in themselves. You know, why is Trent going to Real Madrid? He believes he can make a difference there. Why is anyone coming to Liverpool? They believe they can get in the team. So, while we all love Conor Bradley, I don't think it's a challenge that Frimpong himself will think is like an insurmountable one.
The best thing about him is, you know, you sound about the extremes before to Josh, is he seems extremely sound to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is, you know, a rhythm that's run through Liverpool for a long time now. And he keeps that. You know, I've seen the video when he's linking up with Virgin Gravenberg at the national team, and that's like, I think that's everything you need to know, really, isn't it? He's doing Scouse impressions, basically, and greeting each other, going, "Hello, lad."
What's come across is just he's what a small rapid but small guy, because Virgil and Gravenberg hugging me is like a dad and lad situation.
Which to be honest with you, which is why I think that right wing back spot suits him. But what's dead interesting is, like, I don't really think we've seen. You know, we scratched the surface with Arnie Slot in the sense of like what he probably wants to do with this team, and it gives him more options. You know, there could be, you know, periods where him and Bradley are both on the pitch. I think having each other as competition is a good thing for a supporter, because they'd be pushing each other every single day to try and get in that team. And then, like we said, you know, we all hope Salah goes on forever. We signed it for another 2 years, but there has to be a bit of succession planning there as well, and different options as well, when analysts are kind of looking at this lad every week as to how we kind of stop him playing.
Last week he compared Bradley to Hakimi, didn't he? He said,
nice.
Sort of threw that out there, and it was a bit like, you know, it's a bit
I like that.
Yeah, I did as well, but it was, you were a little bit shocked that he said it, but you get the feeling that as much as Slot was obsessed with Nottingham Forest in the first half of the season, he's been obsessed with PSG in the second half of the season.
Yeah,
very
He's
true.
spoken about them a lot. And you look at PSG.
Me too.
Yeah, aren't we all? You watch them, and you've got Hakimi and Mendes on the left-hand side. They're both rapid, and they're getting up and down the pitch. And you would say, all right, Robertson isn't as quick as he once was, but he's still quick enough. He can still do it. He got an assist at the weekend. If we're saying that's Kirkez as the other option, and then you've got 2 on the right-hand side who can get up and down the pitch really quickly. So
Kirkaz looks quick, doesn't he? As
really
well?
quick. Yeah. So I think that's the way. Going back to what we think about how he wants to play, he's arrived at a club a year ago where there's a right back who, as you say, wasn't a right back. So, and he had to play. Imagine if he didn't play him.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if he said day one. You know, when, let's be honest, he's probably already talking to Real Madrid. Imagine if he said day one, no, you're not going to play. You have to play him.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, and it's worked out all right, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
So
well, another one for the data lads as well, and like I think it's something that's been missed so far is, you know, for the money that they were reportedly thinking about offering Trent, and however way it worked, we don't know really, do we, because we're not in the room. But you know, the 350, 400 grand mark is, they're probably going to get Bradley and Frimpong for like well less than half of that. You know, a week on you know, whether Bradley signs a new deal and Frimpong. And let's face it, you know, touch wood, but we're not going to be much weaker.